Thank you for starting your day with us here on Breakfast Television. We are raising funds to help end violence against women. And the Canadian Women's Foundation funds 21 organizations in Manitoba, 6 of which are actually in the city of Winnipeg, that are devoted to helping women and their children. Here is BT's Sean Grech with a profile of one of those shelters here in the city.
You have a human right to safety and a right to live free of violence.
It's about intervention, empowerment, and helping women create a new life for those most affected by all forms of sexual, emotional, and physical abuse.
What we recognize is their strength to move forward.
The women's shelter, Ikwe Wajidawin, means women helping women. For 28 years, Executive Director Marie Land says they've committed to helping Aboriginal and other women in crisis in Manitoba start a new journey of healing.
There's so many women out there that are being violated, and children that are exposed to this on a daily basis. And there's often no place for a woman to go to.
One of the women Ikwe Wajidawin saved was Sabrina in 2009. She's now a survivor of domestic abuse and lived in an abusive environment for 6 years. She says she never saw it coming.
I've taken flying leaps down the basement stairs. I've been punched in the back of the head. I've had knives held up to my throat.
Exhausted from the abuse, Sabrina built up the strength to pack her bags and leave with her kids to seek temporary safety with a friend. After being turned away from full shelters, a counselor from Osborne House introduced her to Ikwe Wajidawin.
When I walked in these doors, I was a broken woman, shattered. I couldn't go through one day without crying.
Crisis line, how can I help you?
Ikwe Wajidawin's first response is with the use of their 24-hour, 7 days a week crisis line. It offers counseling and help to arrange access to shelter. Every year, the crisis line takes more than 1,000 calls.
When they come into shelter, we within a 48-hour period, we determine their eligibility for continuing to stay within our crisis program.
Other programs at the shelter include a residential housing program where women and children can stay up to 30 days. If more time is needed, the shelter offers a 1-year interim housing program on the 3rd floor.
A lot of people think that if you're a victim of domestic violence, that you're weak. If you're weak, you wouldn't have made it through that.
Once a fragile heart, Sabrina is using her strong voice to mend her heart every day, hoping time will heal all the wounds. Now back on her feet because of Ikwe Wajidawin, Sabrina is attending the University of Manitoba's social work program this fall. For Breakfast Television, I'm Sean Grech.
You met her in the story there. Sabrina, domestic abuse survivor, joining us now. Good morning.
Morning.
Thank you so much for sharing your story. In there, some really descriptive things. Pushed down the stairs, punched, a knife to your throat. When did this all begin?
It didn't really start as far as the physical violence until after I'd had my second daughter. Before that, it was a lot of wearing down, breaking down, emotional abuse, belittling, making me feel like I was worthless, nothing, and taking away communication with people that I usually would have been with more often. So that's kind of how it started.
And this went on for years?
Yes, roughly about 5 to 6 by the time we left, which is pretty short compared to a lot of other people.
So what made you actually decide to go? What was that driving factor?
I had been working on trying to leave for quite some time, and I had been calling the local women's shelter that I knew of, which was Osborne House, and they were always full. And then I'd have this feeling, oh, I didn't need it. I really didn't need it. But it just, as it progressed, one day I just woke up. I can't explain it any other way. I had that aha moment, woke up and went through the motions like every other day, and as soon as he left, it was to my oldest daughter, let's get packed, we're leaving. Scariest thing I've ever done in my life, but at the same time, the best thing I've ever done in my life.
Well, I can imagine it's terrifying for a woman alone to flee, but with 2 small children, that must have made it so much more difficult.
It does, because there's a lot of legal issues that you have to think about too, things like custody, all that kind of stuff that you have to get on the ball right away, which I was on the phone before I even left the house with lawyers and getting that side set up, going into hiding for a week because the shelter was full. I did not know about Ikwe, so I never phoned there. So I was hiding from different friends' places for about a week before we were able to get in. My youngest daughter was very confused. She was 3, very confused, very angry, didn't know what was going on. My oldest was just scared because she didn't know what was going to happen to us, and I didn't really have much to say to make them feel better because I didn't know what was going to happen at that point either.
So how did Ikwe help you? You walk in there and you said you were a broken woman when you arrived.
Yes, I was. The best way to describe how they helped me is they helped me find myself again, which is something you lose when you're in a domestic situation. You lose yourself. Warmth, caring, kindness, compassion, empathy, and making me face things that I didn't want to face. So through the counseling, the group therapies, multiple counseling, which is once a day. I used it all through the night. I didn't sleep very much, but it's baby steps, but that's what they did, and it helped me come through it. So.
And your daughters now are 14 and 7. What do you say to them about domestic abuse?
What I say to my oldest daughter, my youngest doesn't really ask about it so much, but with my oldest is when we talk about it, because she's interested in boys, is it's not okay. It's wrong, and she needs to value herself and never, ever, ever let anybody try to step on her toes. That's a red flag. If that's what they're doing, get out soon, because unfortunately there's too many cases, especially with adults, where women aren't getting away, and they're just a statistic that we see in a graveyard a few months later, and it's terrifying.
Well, and that's advice for other women out there too that may feel that they're going through a similar situation.
Yes, I think the best thing is to make that call. It's not that scary. Your life will only get better. I can promise you that. It's not easy, but it's worth it.
Well, a truly inspirational story, and we thank you so much for spending some time with us here this morning. You can hear the phones ringing, because that is what it's all about. It's about helping women like Sabrina get out of dangerous situations, get on with their life, and helping their children live in a safe environment as well. And we need your donations to do that. We have people answering the phones. You can phone in, you can make a donation online. There are so many ways to help on the special Morning for Hope. Thank you.
Thank you.
More BT coming up.